Hello everyone, I'm Eternal Flame here, and I'm here today to talk about the effects of Gojo versus Sukuna, and why I think this battle ultimately helped teach every single one of his students, especially Yuji, Yuta, and Hakari, all new things and new ways for them to get stronger that they're going to utilize against Sukuna and Kenjaku in the battles to come, and everything that Gojo achieved through this fight. Both what I believe he achieved for fact, and what I believe that will be referenced later on that Gojo helped them all to see. However, before we even get into this video, be sure to like and subscribe to like anime content like this, and let's get straight into the video, explaining how Gojo showed them all the way to get stronger and to reach higher levels. Now, before I do go in depth with what Gojo ended up teaching his students through this battle, I do want to talk about what Gojo did to actually help them out through taking away cards that Sukuna had access to, because Gojo has taken away quite a few of Sukuna's cards that are incredibly important to him. The main two that a lot of people have been talking about are the fact that Sukuna cannot temporarily use his domain expansion, and he cannot use Mahoraga, which those are the two biggest cards in my opinion. Mahoraga's adaptation would have been proven to be an extremely huge problem, purely because of the fact that it would have gotten stronger and stronger, and more importantly would have granted Sukuna more and more ways to defeat the cast, because it would have just kept adapting, and it's incredibly strong nonetheless, and would have been an incredibly strong opponent. Sukuna's domain would have just wiped out everyone else. I don't think I need to talk about that. Like, as soon as everyone would have arrived, so long as Sukuna's domain existed, it just goes bam, wiped out. Also, the reason why I say temporary is because eventually Sukuna is going to be able to heal that, which is why now is their best and only chance to defeat Sukuna, because if they leave or not try anything right now and like just try and get back, recruit, and get stronger, it just won't work because Sukuna will have time to recuperate and get stronger. Furthermore, he was also capable of deleting Madoka Deer, which is incredibly important. Now, it's not clear if he actually did kill Madoka Deer, because on the Agito beast, it looks like it lost its horn, but I'm going to give Gojo the benefit of the doubt and just assume it was Gege forgetting to draw it, because I'm not going to lie, antlers feel kind of difficult to draw, so yeah, I think that is just Gege straight up forgetting to draw the antlers. It could be a look you missed this, but I don't think it was going to be a look you missed this type of moment. He also took out the wolves as well as taking out Nue, which would have not been as strong as their Shikigami, but they were still going to be strong threats nonetheless, especially Nue with his entire massive lightning bolt from the heavens type of thing. That would have been terrible support and terrible for the actual cast to have to deal with. While he didn't deal with Piercing Bull, Rabbit Escape, Max Elephant, he did deal with some of the upper tier Shikigami, which is going to help the cast a lot. Furthermore, it also seems like Sukuna's RCT has been slowed down on top of all of this, and he does seem to be a bit battle damaged nonetheless. Even though Sukuna didn't use his curse technique, Gojo has made it even easier for the cast and set up the stage even more for them. Furthermore, I do just want to say this to all the people who have been talking about Sukuna's new variant of Cleave and saying why that is going to end the series. Sukuna very heavily implies this is not something he can do casually through the statement of it was near impossible to pull off. I don't think Sukuna is just going to be able to pull this off more often. I think this is a one-time only use against Gojo type of move. So yeah, Sukuna is not likely going to use it again. At least I don't think he's going to use it again. He might use it again, I don't know. Anyway, now that we got Gojo's impact out the way on what he did directly to Sukuna, I want to get what Gojo did and what he showed off to the main cast as something to establish now. Throughout this fight, Gojo has been using several applications of his curse technique and the curse principles in general. And I think he's been using advanced versions of things all of the cast has been using, and through this fight he has shown what the upper limits of it is and things that can be achieved through that. And it's going to be the ways each of them end up surpassing their limits in order to have a much better chance against Sukuna. Now, this is theory territory, but up first I'm going to go with Yuta Okkotsu, because I think Yuta Okkotsu has by far and away the most obvious out of the three characters that I'm going to talk about today, which is Yuta has now been shown the potential way to get over the weakness of his technique. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, okay, what do you mean, Eternal Flame? And that is something really, really interesting that Gojo showed off, which is the ability to use RCT to recover your own curse technique. Something that Yuta thought was impossible, but there was something really interesting about the wording that Yuta used inside of that fight and in his reaction towards it. The reason that Yuta thought that it was impossible was because he wasn't thinking hard enough. which I interpret it as this. Yuta did think of this as a potential way to overcome his 5-minute weakness, or at least try to overcome his 5-minute weakness, but he didn't think hard enough on how to make it possible. It's extremely dangerous, so the way that I can see this being used in the future is potentially Yuta trying this out and replicating it in one moment in an all risk or nothing type scenario in order to restore the 5 minutes of his technique. Because the biggest weakness to Yuta that everyone agrees to, and people even making fun of him for it, including me, is his 5 minutes. Is the fact his technique only lasts for 5 minutes, is the fact that his limitless curse energy only lasts for 5 minutes. And now the way has been shown for Yuta on how to overcome this. And that is through using the method that Gojo used to recover his RCT and recover his curse technique in his brain, and I think Yuta has learned how to do that through watching this fight. So yeah, I see this being the way of how Yuta overcomes his main hugest weakness, that he realistically can only be at full power for 5 minutes, and that he can only copy curse technique for 5 minutes. Furthermore, he might have copied some of Gojo's abilities, but I also highly doubt it if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, purely because he doesn't have the Limitless and 6 Eyes, and he only has the Limitless, though it could be possible that he copied that, but I don't think that's actually the case. Furthermore, this just will be extremely useful, especially if Yuta managed to copy Hana's technique, which will allow him to constantly spam beams, and there won't be a 5-minute restriction on him because he can just restart the 5-minute timer. And I'm just saying, especially after this fight, if Yuta didn't copy Hana's technique, I am going to call Hana an idiot, and Yuta especially an idiot. Like, whatever the conditions are, it should not be that hard to achieve it, especially because you have Hana on your side. Whether it's seeing it or needing someone's DNA, either way, you can achieve that, and Hana is right there, unable to fight. So yes, you can use Hana's technique, you should be able to use it. I'm not fully sure if Yuta is going to use it, but he better have copied Jacob's Ladder. Now up next is Yuji Itadori, and I'm going to go over two things. One thing is my own idea, and the second thing is just a fan theory which I featured in the last video. And my own idea is, Gojo has shown off heavily how to use delayed curse energy in this fight against Sukuna, because there have only been 2 characters ever within Jujutsu Kaisen who have used delayed cursed energy in an actual fight. Those 2 characters being Yuji Itadori through the Divergent Fist and Gojo Satoru. Now you guys might be wondering, when did Gojo use delayed cursed energy? That was when he launched a red off that he had not explode until it went around the building and hit Sukuna in the back to explode with, and then hit him with a black flash after. What I suspect is going to happen next is Yuji is going to be able to use Divergent Fist more frequently and actually control when it goes off directly, deciding when to make it delay massively, rather than in comparison to before when he only made it have a few second delay. It could have much longer delays that could be useful in fights for support, or to just directly launch Sukuna into his own attacks, or make Sukuna go off his guard trajectory-wise. It could be incredibly useful. It has also been shown at least to be semi-undetectable up to this point, because no character has actually just decided, hey, I'm gonna get this curse energy off of me. If it is detectable, it might be less useful, I will admit that, but Yuji has at least shown the ability to make it actually less detectable and delay his curse energy, so I think this is going to end up being extremely useful in the fight, and some smart tactics might go down with it. And Birdrat's comment, who's the comment theory that I'm talking about right now, had a very similar theory to mine, but it's much more direct and just copying what Gojo did with the blue and red punches to push people away or direct them towards them, where he's just going to simulate things like the block flash and the push and pull that Gojo did, and how Gojo fights in order to do that. And the way that I think he's talking about it is by having Divergent Fist just latch onto someone and immediately activate when Yuji's about to punch them to directly launch them into the punch, simulating Gojo's blue fists. Now, I do think delayed curse energy could be used for a lot more. It could be used to stack on hits, depending on how long Yuji can delay the curse energy. He might be able to generate more and just create this mega uber, like, giant black flash of just stacked up curse energy. I could see that being a thing, but it really depends on how far they can go with it, how to truly utilize and manipulate delayed cursed energy, and how to utilize it well in combat to catch people off guard, or just use it directly. He could also use it by putting his cursed energy on people and having them directly attack to, like, add his own cursed energy powers onto the other people and basically be a buff on their hits. Like, imagine he, like, puts his delayed curse energy on Yuta's sword, so when Yuta slashes, it's both Yuta and Yuji's curse energy being reinforced in that moment to hit an opponent, because that would still hurt a lot, especially with Yuji's Black Flash mastery, or at least close to mastery. Up next, we're going to talk about Hakari, and how I think Hakari learned from this battle, and what I think Hakari can take away in order to make himself even stronger. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, okay, what did Hakari potentially possibly learn throughout this, and that is domain conditions. Hakari has learned a lot about domain conditions from both Gojo and Sukuna through watching this fight. Hakari has learned it's possible to make the exterior of your domain more durable instead of the interior. Hakari has learned it's possible to specifically target only one person in your domain through Sukuna's domain that targeted everything but Sukuna in the sure hit. He has learned that it's possible to make your domain incredibly small through Gojo's domain. Of course, it's not going to be to the same degree because Hakari was never put in the prison room, but Hakari can still make his domain smaller. Now, the one condition I want to turn back to is actually what Sukuna used, not what Gojo used. However, Gojo forced him to use it, so I'm going to count that as a Gojo W in teaching his students, which is the ability to only specifically target things within your domain expansion. And why is this important, you might be wondering? Well, I think Hakari is going to show off the ability to use his domain in order to give everyone on his team a limitless cursed energy through Jackpot, through expanding the sure hit condition to hit everyone and to affect everyone. Now, of course, this could have some extra condition behind it in order to make it more likely to happen, but this could be extremely useful because it could give everyone the subconscious RCT that Hakari has access to, and it would make Hakari an ultimate support. Like, just imagine Sukuna is about to cleave through someone and then immediately Hakari's Jackpot activates and they start to regenerate too. He can just do that for everyone, refuel everyone's cursed energy, and become an ultimate team player to just be the ultimate carry for them all to victory. Ultimately, this video just exists to show Gojo, even through fighting, even through dying in this final moment, still showed off things that can be applied to his students. Now, do I know if any of these are going to be applied to his students? No, not whatsoever. This is up to his students to see if it's possible for them to apply it to them. However, I think that is what the point of this fight was, at least for Gojo. Sure, yes, Gojo pushed Sukuna. Gojo was able to remove several of Sukuna's cards, but I also think Gojo, in his final moments, was able to give new cards to the students. Hell, I'm probably not thinking of all the things that Gojo could use, that Gojo used in this fight, that could be applied to his students. Knowing you guys, you probably have some of your own ideas too that I want to see in the comment section below. Now, is there a chance they don't use this at all? Yes, there is a chance, but that just makes them bad students, not Gojo a bad teacher, because they weren't able to see the lessons and apply it to themselves. Because the best way for Gojo to teach is to show. He can't actually explain to them because he's not on their level. So the best way is to show them what is possible through Jujutsu sorcery and let them reach the heights that they can, that Gojo has set the pathway up for them. However, that's just my thoughts on this entire thing and the results of Gojo's fight and everything that can be applied to the students. Now I want to hear yours. I'm gonna see y'all later though. Peace out.